the only change that has been brought about is a rampant corruption. When the government was installed in 2018 on the floor of the Nagaland Legislative Assembly, the Chief Minister announced that their policy on Indo-Naga political issue would be facilitated. Let me tell you that when I am under the Constitution of India, having taken oath under the Constitution to protect, defend the integrity and solidarity of India, how will they facilitate? So, in what way are they facilitating? Their meaning of facilitator is how to have election.
Call this press conference to speak on the issue of betrayal of Nagas in matter of political solution, which the entire population has been expecting some announcement on the 75th anniversary of Indian independence. I think we can never ever trust the people of India anymore, because if you look back, the assurances we have in 25 years, I think to start with the life of Modi. In the first place, he said within 18 months he will resolve the political problem. Then he announced that Naga political problem have been resolved on 3rd August 2015. He then announced in the international event at Dubai on 18 August that Naga political problem has been resolved. Then he said after Assam election. Then he said after Manipur election. Now after seeing and having experienced winning the election with the support of the insurgency groups in Manipur, I think they have adopted the idea of fighting election in Nagaland with the insurgency support. Despite of assuring us by the high high positioned BJP leader that this 2018 election will be for election for solution. Now, Prime Minister has forgotten the entire Northeast, not only Nagaland, in the 75th anniversary of Indian independence. He was addressing not the people of India, he was addressing a BJP political party meeting in the Red Fort yesterday. He was talking about 25 years of government, development. Future 25 years. I think by then he would have sold everything, including India. He sold almost all the created assets. He started selling Indian flag. National flag is in the market with 20 rupees now. What more to sell? Do you think he will be able to create anything for the Indian? No. We cannot expect this BJP government to deliver political solution. And for them, winning election is more important than resolving the political problem, because for India, ceasefire agreement is the solution. They don't need any other solution. if there is ceasefire and their armed forces are in the barrack peacefully, what more solution they need? Nothing. It is Nagas of Nagaland and Nagas in the northeast. We are the one who need solution. But that is not in the mind of BJP. And unfortunately for our Chief Minister, yesterday, after having 25 years of ceasefire agreement and negotiation, he was asking us to be patient. What UNC has told him, he is telling us. UNC has appealed to every one of us to be patient, not to be in hurry. They say, what is in hurry? For them, it may not be in hurry, but for the people of Nagaland, who are responding and solving the problem, we want solution. We want settlement. We think of our children, the future of our children. That is why we want solution. We want development. We want people to invest so that we can also grow. Development activities have come to a total stagnant. Whatever Independence Day message they have listed yesterday, they are all of normal activities which are happening in the state through the government of India's routine works. Nothing more new. They have no idea as to how to develop and give the future to the new generation. And I think our Chief Minister, our UDA government is responsible for the delay. There have been a roadblock. They made a resolution on 16 July 2022, 16 July 2022. Endorsing framework agreement and working committee agreement, and also concluded talk on the 31st October 2019. But that resolution was never taken to Delhi. No delegate has gone with that resolution to Prime Minister or Home Minister. This is a betrayal. Instead of doing that, they signed a seat-sharing deal and then they came back. I think it's time for the people, for the voters, to realize that this government is traitor. They're betraying the people for times and years. And they wanted to go. After election, do you think these MLAs will resign and pave the way for a solution? No. Therefore, we don't see with Rio and his government that there shall be ever political solution in Nagaland. We therefore wanted to let the people of Nagaland know that we are going to the election, perhaps in December this year, without political solution. And therefore be prepared either to continue without solution for years to come, or remove this government and be prepared for a solution. This will be the option left for the people of Nagaland. Today I have a senior leader, former Chief Minister Mr. Chishi with me, who will be also responding to your queries, and also he will try to give us some advice to the people of Nagaland, and also try to analyze what we wanted to share with the people. My friend Mr. Shabo, Vice President, is also, Shabo Konyak, ex-MLA President, is also here. If he want to add something, we can do, and you're welcome to interact your questions. We are willing to discuss with you, because, and therefore, it'll be good if we can discuss. Thank you.
My dear press fraternity, good afternoon to all of you. At the instance of the Pradesh Congress Committee President, Mr. K. Therie, I've been invited to say some words and share some of my thoughts on behalf of the Indian National Congress and also Nagaland Pradesh Congress in connection with the ongoing political process in the state of Nagaland vis-a-vis the government of Nagaland. I have three specific points to share with you. The headline will be number one, on facilitator. Number two will be, I will be talking on the very popular expression used by Tom, Dick and Harry, including the political leaders at the helm of affairs. Everybody says Indo-Naga political problem requires honorable and acceptable solution. So I want to dwell on what do we mean, or what do they mean by honorable and acceptable. This has never been defined, but everybody uses this word when it comes to the matter of Indo-Naga political solution. Number three, I would like to dwell on the Nagaland Liquor Prohibition Act of 1987. Am I right? 87? 87. So these three headlines I would like to share with you my thoughts. I thought it is pertinent at this juncture, when Nagas are in utter confusion, it may be worthwhile to share these 3 points as a trendsetter for the people to understand what do some people mean by facilitator. I will dwell on this subject first. The state government, ever since it took over the reins of the government in 2018, it has promised two things, both outside and on the floor of the assembly. On the very first day of swearing-in ceremony, which was held at the playground of Kohima city, the swearing-in took place there, I was present there. There was a big sound of music singing, change is coming. There inside the assembly and on various occasions, this government led by Mr. Neiphiu Rio said they will stand as a facilitator on Indo-Naga political issue. Therefore, I want to tell my brothers and sisters of the press that what changes have they brought about in more than 4.5 years of this tenure? Whether people see any changes for the benefit of the people of Nagaland in particular and the Nagas in general. When we come to the scenario of Nagaland state, while our neighboring states are developing by leaps and bounds, in our state, the only change that has been brought about is a rampant corruption. Nepotism, favoritism, unemployment, especially for the youth, and banning of employment, non-payment of salaries to the government employees, whether they be regular or temporary, and also slashing of like funds under Narendra and VDB funds and so on. Perhaps you might have come across that this government is deducting material component. Under the garb of material component, they are deducting minimum 30% from VDB fund. From VDB fund. They are also deducting the same percentage, 30%, and they call it material component. Documents are available. If you would like to search for it or ask for it, it is available in the Office of Rural Development and also in the Office of District Project Officers of Land Resources and so on. They deduct 30% at source. They issue 2 checks, one for the villagers, that will be 70%, and 30% goes to material component. So people are not receiving that 100 rupees wages per day, per person. Minerga is, and it was, a program launched by the Indian National Congress during the regime of Dr. Manmohan Singh and Madam Sonia Gandhi ji. But it's very strange that the food grains or the wages for the poverty-ridden people are also eaten up by this government. And I call it a great change. A great change. What else? I have cited just one example. That is the one instance. I have a village, my own village, in Dimapur district. Now, of course, it has become Newland district, at Kohuboto subdivision. The name of my village is known as Kieje, my original name. I'm popularly known as KL Chishi. But my real name is Kieje, Kieyezhe. I repeat, Kieyezhe village. In my own village, I have been noticing for several years there is a deduction of wages of the poorer section of the people. And unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not inside the assembly because I'm not a member of Nagaland Legislative Assembly. I could have highlighted on the floor of the House, but I'm incapacitated to do that because I'm not a member of the Legislative Assembly. But I have seen with my own eyes. I'm the village chief of my village. I'm the proprietor of my village. And I can see how things are going. Had I been in the assembly, I would have furnished the documents. The two checks issued simultaneously. One deduction, they call it material component. I have not seen one material component given to the villagers. So that is the way. It is a naked robbery, naked extortion. So this is on change. They call it on the agenda, change is coming. Solitary example I'm just citing. On facilitator, as newsmakers, you would recollect, perhaps you may have in your office, when Nagaland state celebrated 50 years of Naga struggle for freedom. 50 years. That time a booklet was published. And in that booklet it contained the demand, the wishes, the aspirations of the people in that booklet. And they said the theme was, we want solution, not election. This was the theme. They wanted each and every one to resign. They want each and every political party in the state to give up election and support the movement of the Naga people for self-determination. Those days, there were political parties like Indian National Congress, led by Mr. S.C. Jamir. Then in the NPF, it was known as the NPC those days. It was led by Dr. Sorozale and led Vamazo, Pesau. Then the BJP led NC Zeliang and led Dr. Retso of Southern Angami. They were the two leaders of the BJP from Nagaland. Led Mr. Hokishe, former Chief Minister and Governor, and I, and including Mr. Chingwang, today's NDPP President. We were in the Nationalist Democratic Movement, a political party known as NDM. And other unrecognized small parties were also there. Everybody, all the civil societies, the NGOs, including Human Rights Commission, everybody wanted solution and not election. So we decided. That time Indrajit Gupta was the Home Minister of India. We went to Delhi. NDM, BJP, and NPF, which was known as NPC earlier days. We went, met the Prime Minister and also the Home Minister. And we requested them to defer the election. And we gave in writing, if you don't defer it, we shall be bound not to go, or we shall be bound to abstain from contesting elections. But those days, Indian National Congress, under the leadership of S.C. Jamir, had assured Government of India that Congress will contest the election. So almost all the seats except 17 seats remained uncontested. 17, there was a friendly Congress versus independent contest. To place on record that there was a contest. That's how we political parties, leaders who had sacrificed, did not gain much. Today, when the government was installed in 2018, on the floor of the Nagaland Legislative Assembly, the Chief Minister announced that their policy on Indo-Naga political issue would be facilitator. Well, you are aware of what does it mean by facilitator. Accommodate, pave all the way for solution, because that is the need of time for Naga people. and in particular the Nagas of Nagaland. But instead of facilitating, how are they working? I want to tell you like this, that the government of the state has pledged by taking a vow before and after election that they will abide by the Constitution of India. They will protect the Constitution of India. They will defend the Constitution of India. That's how one is MLA or minister or the chief minister. Having taken that oath under the Constitution of India, they come under the purview of the Constitution of India. The Nagas do not come under the purview of the Constitution of India, and that is why the struggle is going on. But that is what they say they will facilitate. Let me tell you that when I am under the Constitution of India, having taken oath under the Constitution to protect, defend the integrity and solidarity of India, how will they facilitate? That's my question. How will they facilitate? The talk is between the Naga freedom fighters, or call them Naga national workers, and government of India. The talk is at that level. Chief Minister is, or MLAs are under the Constitution of India. But the negotiation had to take place outside the Constitution of India. And this was the assurance, this was the promise, this was agreed position when Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister of India, representing the Indian National Congress. Yet in Paris, he said, yes, we shall have negotiation outside the Constitution of India, in the third country, and that's how negotiation is still going on. But what has happened? Now today, Assam Chief Minister is one of the negotiators under the garb of the present Chief Minister. How is it when Assam Chief Minister says he is not prepared to part with an inch of land? How is it that he has become a negotiator? These are some of the pertinent questions. I would not like to go further, but you have understood what I mean. So, in what way are they facilitating? Their meaning of facilitator is how to have election without solution. And that's what they are working for. How to cling onto the chair and the table, but prevent solution, which is the need of the hour, which is the cry of the people of the state of Naga. They are working against the will of the people. Now, when we come to the second issue, that is the expression honorable and acceptable. How do we define that? The struggle between India and Nagas are for sovereignty on one hand, and on the other hand, they say Nagas should not ask for it. But there has been a plebiscite conducted by AZ Pizzo in 1951. And in that plebiscite, 99.9 voted in favor of Naga sovereignty. Therefore, if any solution takes place short of 1951 plebiscite, then it is not honorable. If any solution takes place short of 1951 plebiscite, that is the will of the people, then it is not acceptable to the Nagas. It may be acceptable to XYZ, but Nagas have to ask for honorable. The honor, the dignity, the prestige of the Nagas should not be erased. Just because somebody wants to be in a state power under the Constitution of India, the will of the people, the aspiration of the people should not go betrayed, because Nagas want sovereignty. Now it is between Government of India and Naga national workers to come to a reasonable conclusion. But that has to be acceptable. That conclusion has to be acceptable to the Nagas by virtue of signing of 1951 plebiscite. So that is my interpretation of honorable and acceptable. It is not Tom, Dick and Harry who says it is acceptable. But the aspiration of the people has to be kept in mind, the Naga people. So, that is on the issue of honorable and acceptable. The third one I would like to come to is NLTP Act. It was introduced and enacted during our time under the leadership of Sri S.C. Jamir, who is still a living personality till then. I was in the cabinet, in his cabinet. We were forced to introduce and enact it in Nagaland Legislative Assembly. We agreed and we did it. It was done in 1987. So many years of experience, we have seen what is prohibition in Nagaland. It has become highly controversial issue. But let us see this act, enforcement of this act, vis-a-vis what our leaders are doing. When I say leaders, mean those who run the roost of the state. Example, if you go to Nature Resort, owned by no other person than the Chief Minister Neiphiu Rio, it is his venture. If you go to little across Shabo area, there is a Noone Resort. If you go to Hotel Vivor at Kohima, these are few ventures owned by the Chief Minister himself. Everything is available. Indian-made foreign liquor, plus imported liquor, any brand. And people also thought that there are nightclubs in Dimapur, which starts after 10 p.m. till 2 to 3 a.m. next day. What do? Everybody is drinking. Everywhere spurious drinks are available. So it has become a fallacy, a mockery. On the part of the churches in Nagaland, the missionaries and the church workers, spiritual leaders, they say Nagaland for Christ. Yes, it is a Christian state. But our population or our populace is much more than people who have lived in the story of like Sodom and Gomorrah. This is happening. When the leader or the leaders, they cannot control themselves, how is it that we should continue with prohibition? They will order the security forces to go and seize, raid, and so on. Some people's house. But what happens to, what about Noone Resort? What about Nature Resort? What about Hotel Vivor at Kohima? And so on. Needless to emphasize, but this is the actual thing happening. For the last 3 days, we have been seeing Naga people. They are shouting slogans and offering their prayers like Bharat Mata Ka Jai. Nagaland is a declared state, which we call it Nagaland for Christ. Bharat Mata is not Christ, according to me. So where are the missionaries? Where are the churches? Where are the spiritual leaders? And why Naga children are shouting slogan, Bharat Mata Ki Jai, under the garb of 75th India Independence Day? These are some of the surprises we come across. And therefore, I'm sharing this, my point of view. I would like every section of people living in society of Nagaland to understand what we are doing. And in particular, the leaders of the state. What do they say? Lastly, yesterday, you would have seen the Independence Day speech delivered by the Chief Minister of Nagaland. Union Finance Minister in Parliament recently stated that Nagaland state is indebted to Reserve Bank of India 15,800 plus crores of rupees. But yesterday, if you go through the Chief Minister's speech on Independence Day, and the same speech was read by every minister or every leader who hoisted the flag. Yes, everybody says we are doing well in all development aspects. Our financial position is sound, and so on. Isn't that a fallacy? Who is right? Union Finance Minister on the floor of the Parliament says more than 15,800 crores indebted by Nagaland state. Here Chief Minister says we are okay. Our financial position is strong. Then why are they withholding payment of poorer section of people? That is, the grade 4 employees or the work charge employees, teachers' salaries, and so on and so forth. And I think this is a great change. For the first time in the history of Nagaland Legislative Assembly, Neiphiu Rio's government transacted business in Nagaland Legislative Assembly for 15 minutes. I'm not exaggerating. Not for 15 minutes and disperse. Is that the way to transact the business of the people? So these are few points. I've taken a very long time, but as respected President has already mentioned, now the moment is open to you. If you have any specific questions to ask our President or to me, of course, Shabo, you're
we wanted solution. We have fought for solution. We stood by solution. We wanted the settlement first. Our first priority was never election. But if the state government wanted election, we will be bound to fight as a national political party.
Mr. Azul stated that even if the government forms, he would like all the MLS to get together from the opposition-led government to get the state unified policy. You were invited.
I think you don't worry about that. If Mr. Chishi or me, even one is elected, will be full. The house will be full with opposition. One itself will be full of the house. It's okay. We are not people who are defectors anymore.
About 15, he was mentioning that you would invite all the parties to form the opposition. You would invite NPCC also to like to join.
No, like-minded, but the idea of India, the idea of Nagaland, of the Congress and of the BJP are different. We have to run our government with the idea and clear attitude, clear directive.
Chishi mentioned that they were forced to have that NLTV acting. So, can we assume that that government of that time was never in favor of that act and it was forced?
NLTP.
Yeah. It was never in. It was never in for. It was never in the mind of that government of that time. But we were forced, as legislators, we were forced to enact that law. So we did it because we wanted to do the will of the people. And so we did it. But what is that today? It's farce. And on the question of opposition-less government, as somebody might have pronounced, I've always said, when I have taken oath as a member of Indian Constitution, how can I fight against the government? Government is run under the Constitution. And for us, we run government under the Constitution, be it this party or that party. It doesn't matter. Even to fight the election, we have to take oath before the election commission. Then file our nomination. Without oath, you cannot file nomination. So when we have taken oath of allegiance, how is it strange thing that we can fight against Narendra Modi or Amit Shah? How is it? The matter is left to the extra-constitutional fellows. Extra-constitutional.
We don't agree by the opposition-less government or parallel government. We have several parallel government functioning here in Nagaland. As for the Congress, we don't agree to that type of parallel government. I think very soon, all the NGOs, tribal organizations, they will become also parallel government to the state, under the leadership of Mr. Rio. So he is encouraging. He completely failed to enforce the law of the land. He is not running the government. There is no governance. We cannot continue to live under multiple government directives. Congress can alone do it. But together we can do it. More regional political parties are running states in the nation than national political parties. But today, 48 regional MLAs are scared of 12 BJP MLAs in Nagaland. In Bihar, that didn't happen. In West Bengal, that didn't happen. Or otherwise, Orissa, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. You look at any place like Jharkhand, regional members or otherwise elected members, they have shown their stand. But here in Nagaland, 42, 48, they can't speak. They are voiceless, dumb, deaf. They have not spoken anything for the people. I have not heard even in the assembly, as he said, 15 minutes session. And also, do you see any press, any statement for the welfare of the people? Are they protecting, defending our people? No. This type of characters we should eliminate from the state of assembly. Then only we can have a vibrant state assembly to discourse the issues that are pertaining to our people every day and now. We want to give a very strong, established government. Given opportunity, we will deliver, we will enforce the law of the land strictly according to the Constitution.